Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to discuss with you the significance of the Aquarius full moon on August 19th, 2024, interacting with the USA chart. So what you're looking at here is the US chart in the circle, and then here are the transiting planets out here, which are connected to the Aquarius full moon. And you can see right away that that full moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius is conjunct the USA moon in Aquarius, also at 27 degrees. So that's one important factor, but there's much more in this cycle that is actually more pivotal and significant. And it's the fact that we have Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus, reaching this degree point for the first time, and is squaring the moon, transiting moon, and the USA moon. And how this Uranus at 27 Taurus is also trining Pluto at 27 Capricorn. For a number of years, we've been talking about the USA's Pluto return, and this retrograde Pluto will go back to 29 degrees of Capricorn, and be conjunct Pluto. So we are still in the energy of the Pluto return, but now we have a powerful catalytic energy here that Uranus is now in the same degree as Pluto and the moon. So let's break this down a bit. Uranus getting to 27 degrees of Taurus is significant because of how it interacts with the moon, which is the people, the public, family, homes, where we go to feel safe. And in the third house in Aquarius, it's communications, ideas, our hopes, our visions, what is possible, what we want to co-create. It also signifies the collective energy field of Americans. And in the third house, this is about what we learn, what we understand, what we talk about, what we communicate, how it affects our mental selves. The third house is your immediate daily environment. And this would include people you live with, friends, acquaintances, people you know. This actually is quite a social, friendly energy with that moon in Aquarius in the third house. Now, with this Uranus directly working with that moon, there's a powerful turning point here that starts with the Aquarius full moon activating this energy for the collective. And this energy starts in August 2024, and it will finalize in March 2026. Due to retrogrades, this Uranus at 27 Taurus will be here August and September 2024, then retrograde back, then return May 2025, retrograde back, and then have a third and final time at this degree, January to March 2026. So this Aquarius full moon kicks off themes that we will move through into March 2026. And the square to the moon is turbulence, unexpected developments, feeling unsettled, a lack of ease. It can also be fast moving and exciting. There can be a desire to remain flexible, to be able to work with the unknowns. These can be felt as activations that are ready for change, especially at the home front, the housing market, families, technology is certainly with the moon in Aquarius, how new technologies are coming into our daily worlds, our daily experiences quite rapidly. And with Uranus in the 6th house, in Taurus, which is finances, money, resources, what we've relied upon, there's a lot of change happening in the areas of life ruled by the 6th house in this country. I'm an American, so of course I say in my country, just to explain that a bit more. But this Uranus, now working directly with the moon, affects the people. And so this Uranus in Taurus in the 6th house rules service industries, hospitality, manufacturing, health industry, hospitals, nurses, admin, support staff. It works with specific technologies that serve a specific purpose or solution. The 6th house is about how we develop things that we really need. So for example, an x-ray machine, or you need to take a blood test. It's very specific purposes that Uranus will now be activating even more. Again, supporting roles. So this is not only assistants, admins, coaches, but it could be employees of a company. The 10th house is companies, businesses. And the 6th house is the people who work there and how these changes affect your home and your family. The 6th house relates to work environments in general, the tools and technology you need to get your job done. With Uranus here, all of that is certainly changing. With Uranus in the 6th house, going back to employees and service industries, it's how the job market is unstable and how that affects people's daily life directly. The 6th house pertains to what we're consciously aware of in our routines, our chores, our responsibilities, what we have to take care of and maintain. This relates to our physical health, our bodies, what we have to do regularly to be optimal, right? To do our work, to live a good life, to take care of ourselves. This can also be preventative measures, which is the 6th house, how you prevent certain extremes from unfolding. So for example, you exercise, you work out, you take care of yourself to stay in better health. Preventative measures could also mean, you have to go get a certain medical test to see how parts of your body are performing. So these are all 6th house matters. And with Uranus now staying here, and again, working directly with the moon, these matters become more important to us. And so there is a focus here on also being willing to try something new or alternative, seeing what's a better fit for you that maybe you thought you would never try, you would never incorporate. Perhaps there's a realization that certain energy practices are good for you or are supporting your well-being in ways you never thought would be possible. But there is uncertainty here that Uranus wants you to experiment, try perhaps something wild and crazy and off the wall, see if it works for you. But with Uranus directly squaring this moon in Aquarius in the 3rd house until March 2026, there's going to be a lot of shifting, changing information. And the other element here is that, that moon in Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. So something in our daily lives will be changing permanently, quickly, erratically. This would be the incorporation of new technologies into our homes, into our daily lives at a rapid pace. This could be some breakthroughs that you've been waiting for around how to be perhaps more productive or more efficient, and it's very convenient for you. This Uranus trining Pluto in the country's chart is showing us that there are powerful evolutionary changes in the works between the second house and the sixth house of not only how we work, what we do on a daily basis, as I described, but the second house is how you make money, how you stabilize your life, your lifestyle, what you're realizing that you want, that you need, and there's support for those powerful changes, but they're a big deal change. Uranus trining this Pluto is about more significant life transformations and digging deeper into what your fears have been that have prevented you from making a much needed change. So for some people, especially if you have planets or points at 27 Taurus, 27 Capricorn, and 27 Virgo, you're ready for a change in your lifestyle, in your daily routines, and how you make money. You might feel that it's finally time to move towards a new passion, a new career, a new skill set. The sixth house is your skill set. It's being an apprentice. It's learning something and learning it with these new technologies, with new tools, new resources. But it's supportive with the Uranus trining Pluto because it means that you're right on time for facing a fear. I see it as cultural values changing, where in the industrial age, in the manufacturing age, we had to go to a location and work a 9 to 5, or perhaps a graveyard shift, or you had to show up somewhere to earn an income, earn money. And this is all changing with the new technologies, and we're understanding the new ways of making a living that are now possible to us because of the new technology. So we're going to see rapid changes in the workforce where there's going to be a lot of jobs that are eliminated. They're replaced by more efficient means. That's already unfolding, but it's going to continue even in unexpected areas. The moon in Aquarius in the third house is education, and how our education systems are changing, and what is being incorporated through new technologies where, and this is just a wild brain idea, but what if teachers are replaced by AI, and there's now computers that are programmed with standardization tests and skills that the kids need to take care of, and maybe there's a teacher on site, but maybe everything is led in a more computerized fashion. So there's changes happening here quickly. And the jobs that are going to be replaced could be quite startling and surprising. And so we're going to need to discover new solutions in how we make money and what we do every day with our intelligence, with our own creative faculties and skills, because this signifies that, yes, deep change is happening. Now, the last time that Uranus was here at 27 Taurus specifically was late 1941 into early 1942, and that was it. It was basically about a 6-month, 8-month time period here at 27 degrees of Taurus. And in December 1941, December 7th, the US entered World War II when Uranus was last squaring the moon and trining this Pluto, and how that created new jobs for military supply. And how that affected our daily life people's perceptions of the world at large and their place in it. This time around, Uranus, as I mentioned, is at this degree point for nearly 2 years, starting in August 2024 until, again, March 2026. So we're doing a longer cycle of this Uranus triggering the moon and Pluto. So we're going to be in a longer time span of fast-moving changes and developments that will require us to be more adaptable. This is a fixed sign that wants a certain way of anticipating the day, planning how you're spending your time and what your family needs and how to live your life. But there's going to be new creative solutions required, new resources. This Uranus in Taurus has been requiring us to look at what we really need and where our true meaning lies in our lives, but also like what resources does your family need? This can certainly bring up economic volatility. Again, the moon is houses, homes, the housing market. This brings up unexpected changes in resources, which is Taurus. Taurus relates to the earthly resources, so oil. In fact, I believe World War II, that the US cut off oil supply to Japan, which is when Japan retaliated with the Pearl Harbor attack. Now, there were many other steps and factors involved here, but just as a general understanding of Uranus in Taurus and oil supply was a big part of World War II as well. So it's always fascinating to look at the astrology and put the pieces together. Now, I'm not suggesting that there is going to be World War III, but in a way, we are already in some very intense energies with a lot of tension worldwide. There are already wars happening on this planet, and this would signify that whatever is escalating is now going to impact the American people more personally, unexpectedly, surprisingly, with power dynamics and in play, powerful alliances happening behind the scenes, unexpected developments. All of that gets ramped up. And then other elements of this chart is, this is the US natal Mars at 21 degrees of Gemini there in the 7th house of negotiations, diplomacy, open enemies, discussion, conversation, treaties. And here Mars is at 19 degrees of Gemini on the date of this Aquarius full moon, which this Mars returns every year. This Mars has a Mars return every 2 years. So every 2 years, Mars will be at 21 degrees of Gemini. That's not as much of a big deal as the fact that now Jupiter is coming up to be conjunct this Mars at 21 degrees of Gemini. And in fact, Jupiter stations retrograde conjunct this Mars at 21 degrees. So Jupiter hanging out through a direct conjunction with Mars in the 7th house. Well, this Jupiter wants to bring in some happy development solutions. How can we get along? How can we talk this through? What can we agree on? Let's keep the discussion going. What are the options? What are the possibilities? So this Jupiter can come through and bring in more optimism, more solutions, more wisdom, The conjunction with Mars, though, you know, that Mars is like, let's go. Let's take action on what we've been talking about. But I feel that this Jupiter is basically allowing more beneficial conversations to happen, as well as changes, because it's in Gemini. There's also the component here of the Gemini duplicity, which is where you say one thing to the public, but you're really doing something else behind the scenes. However, this Mars is in a wide trine to Moon in Aquarius. Which can help with understanding what to do next, how beneficial agreements can move things forward in a more positive light. But when we look at this through the lens of hierarchy, energetic hierarchy, Uranus is more powerful and stronger than Jupiter. And Uranus can be reckless and tear things apart and tear it up. So even though this Jupiter is coming through for beneficial talks, Uranus could just rip up the treaty, rip up the agreement in a way that would affect people directly. The other part of this chart that I'm looking at here is how Saturn is retrograde at 17 degrees of Pisces and will travel back to 12 degrees of Pisces. And as that Saturn moves back, Saturn will trine the USA's Sun in Cancer at 13 degrees. And that Saturn is a stabilizing force when there's a trine. And so Saturn is trying to diminish escalations and is wanting to reflect upon history and what has already been done and what can we avoid this time around. And in the water signs here of Pisces and the energy of the Sun in Cancer, there's a need to reduce emotional escalation, to not make it too overwhelming or too much. So I feel that this Saturn is helping to settle disputes, at least understand, how will this really affect people, because the Sun in Cancer, well, Cancer is ruled by the Moon. And Saturn is the decision makers, the leaders, the policy makers. Saturn in Pisces means that those people are leaving, retiring, that their time is up, that it's going to be time to close out whatever has expired. And when Saturn moves into Aries in 2025, and again in 2026, there will be a need for fresh leadership as Saturn goes into Aries, and a sense of new vibrant energy is called for. New leadership that represents the country will also be a strong theme. So those are some of the main points that I wanted to discuss as the Aquarius full moon on August 19th, 2024 comes through and directly impacts and activates the people. And this Uranus, now at 27 degrees, is important. So the advice is, look at what you can save and conserve. Look at where you can have your own resources available and on hand, whether those are, extra things in the pantry, money set aside, knowing that the markets are going to fluctuate and that this has been building. This is not new. This is building. That there are going to be some powerful choices to make. And even if you are facing fears around those choices, it's supported right now to do what you need to do as a sign of the times, as a shift in our daily lifestyle, our daily routines. And also I wanted to note that in July 2027 is when Uranus gets to 8 degrees of Gemini, where we have that Uranus return that happens once every 84 years. And you can see where it's going here as Uranus gets to 8 degrees of Gemini in the 6th house. Even more technology infiltrating our lives, our workforce, jobs, our skills, drastically changing the work we do and how we do it, greater efficiency, new solutions. And also, again, there's a big change in jobs here in the job market. So anything with computers, IT, engineering, all of that is going to look very different over the next few years. Those jobs could be quite vulnerable, but they're also undergoing more changes that we don't always see right away. So one thing to do is to ask yourself, can I be replaced by technology, by computers, by AI? Can what I do be replaced? And, I think too about they're called humanoid robotics, and that there's the conferences every year where companies debut the various humanoids they've been inventing and working on. And some of them are in a 2.0 version, some of them are at a 7.0 version. And they've been in the works for years, and now they're finally becoming more mainstream and being incorporated. I think too of how the developments that can come in, we can't even fathom yet, we can't even understand. And it's little things. I mean, I've been to some of those big box stores that have robots, roaming around looking at inventory, taking stock of what's on the shelves and what's in the aisles. Of course, I'm sure they're doing much more than that too. They could also be loss prevention. They could be surveillance of some kind. Then you have in restaurants, the robots that are employed where you sit down at a table and you order what you want. And then the robot goes to the kitchen where the chef, the cooks, put your order on a tray. The robot comes back to your table and delivers your food to you. So that brings up, in the hospitality industry, the use of servers, human servers. And so this is where it gets really fascinating. Like, really look at, can my skill set and my expertise be replaced? Maybe you've seen those new massage table with the robotic arms, where it's a robot giving you a massage. That's also the 6th house. So things are very unknown, interesting, weird, exciting, dynamic. All of that. It's the full spectrum. But this gives you a heads up that the work we do every day and how you perform work, how you get things done, is going to be changing quickly. So yes, this does mean big layoffs. Industries are evolving into a whole new version of themselves. And if you've been in human resources, or you've been, looking at where money goes in a company, well, employees are the most expensive cost to a company. And so when an employee when a company has to reduce, their costs, they get rid of a bunch of employees. Or if shareholders, want changes in the profits and revenue and what needs to be cut back, they'll say, okay, we need to get rid of 500 employees. I mean, this has been going on for decades, but it's going to increase. And it's going to affect people, families, lifestyles, our daily lives, right? Because when you change your work, it changes what you do on a daily basis and where your energy goes. This also can lead to exciting new ways to understand your skill set and what you're capable of and what to do in the world as well. So I hope this gives you some insights into what is being activated with the Aquarius full moon. Again, if you're watching this video after that, this energy lasts until March 2026. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, is because this is a bigger cycle of change that we're moving through. And I hope it gives you beneficial insights into what to be aware of in your own life, in your own job, as well as how it relates to you personally and your family. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back soon on my YouTube channel to share more with you. Take good care.